We're live. Finally.
Oh, okay.
We had some
Don't know what
issues
the
there.
problem is, but good to be with you. Yeah, StreamYard was not happy with us there for a minute.
And I'm
But
freezing and I don't know why and I apologize.
could be because the air's on sub-zero. Ellen
No,
likes it just a little cold.
well, I do, but that's not even, I have another camera. I just don't know where it is. Well, I've been using this one the past few times, so we'll see how it goes. Maybe it'll snap out of it or not.
But Jane, Sky, good to see y'all. Appreciate y'all joining us tonight. Hope y'all are doing well. And there's Melissa. Hey, Melissa, how you doing?
Ah,
Melissa, you came at a timely moment because we're discussing dog food. Let's
and
see.
I am
Apparently,
still
Purina's on
freezing.
the outs and Blue Wilderness is on the ends.
Sorry, I'm still trying to find my other camera. Y'all just have to deal with the freezing. I'm sorry.
You want a winter coat?
The camera freezing. Goofball.
Oh, I thought you were actually cold.
No, I meant
I should
I
have
think if
known
I
better.
move too fast, it does it, but I'm not sure exactly what is setting it off at the moment. So I do my best.
Guys want
We
to
are
know if Green
professional.
Bean is in the doghouse. Yeah, WAP still applies. We are professionals.
Purina is shit. Yep. You're right, Melissa.
Uh-oh. Now we're getting in a scrap over dog food.
No, I mean, I worked and lived with a vet for years. I know a few things about dog food.
Well, when I was down at Auburn had a top 3 vet school in the nation. And we talked to some vets, and they said, generally, at least back then, that Purina, did the most research and had, probably the most consistent quality. Now, that was, a couple of years ago,
A couple?
at least. So, since then, probably some things have changed. I haven't really kept up with it. Can't really say good.
If your dogs poop often, like more than 3 times a day, there's probably too many fillers in the dog food. So you need to go to a brand that has less fillers, more protein, more whole grains, and your dog will poop like once, twice a day. That's it. Clay gets so mad because I buy the expensive dog food.
And we're not talking about expensive. We're
No,
talking about
more than
expensive.
Purina. Well, no, right now we are. Let me get the bag. Hang on one sec because I can't remember.
We have shifted foods probably 3 times the last 2 years. It's not do what? And part of it was because, one of the brands she was buying was unavailable. So, we have since started buying this, or at least this is the first bag of it, and I kind of thinking, the dogs, like, aren't that crazy about it. When we first got some little sample packs, the dogs, seemed to love it. So went ahead and bought the big bag. But since then, and I may feed them too many snacks. I give them a little treat
Muffet.
after we go in from a walk.
Because you feed them too much table food. That's why they don't want it. No, but we had to change brands because we couldn't get it anymore. But it is Nutrisource, Pure Vita, venison, and red lentils entree. They like it. So that's what we use.
Yeah, and that bag is what, 15 pounds?
I think so. It lasts us like 8 months.
That's because they're not eating it.
Because Clay feeds them too much table food. Anywho.
And that 15-pound bag
Yeah.
was $70.
For 8 months? Really? Less than $10 a month?
Well, with everything else they're eating. Anyway,
Who's feeding it to them? God. Y'all, here we go.
they're hungry.
And Jane, let's see. To make them custom food. Oh my, yeah, that does happen.
What's wrong with the food up there in Pennsylvania?
It's not too bad. And we were using something else,
Was it Hill
but this
Science?
was no, it was another natural organic brand that had mostly protein and not much of anything else in it. But we can't get it here anymore. So I bet, see? And he complains.
Melissa, I'm making find ways to save you some money each month.
Yeah, that's what he tells me. Shoot the dogs. And I'm like, no, that's not how we're gonna do this. Nope. God bless him.
Yeah. Well, tonight, Tuesday night Q&A. So, we kind of go off, your questions, comments, thoughts, whatever. We want you to feel free to chime in. Obviously, a big week right now. The Republican convention, couldn't think of the term. Republican convention is going on. And so one thing we thought we might do is kind of, if they have an interesting or controversial speaker, we might tune into that for a few minutes. And then we'll do the same thing during the Democratic convention. And if y'all enjoy that enough, we'll may have another broadcast tomorrow night doing the same thing and just offering some running dialogue about the convention, the speakers, and particularly the ideas, the proposals, because go ahead.
No, I was just gonna Jane, the cat has to have food from France because he's autoimmune. That cost me a small fortune. Jane, can anyone in your house eat like a normal whatever category? And Sky, is still gonna have more pups. Did you hear me? Clay will shoot me and throw us all out on the street before he will allow that to happen. I would love to. I think they're great. It's fun. They're messy, for 6-8 weeks, and they're, it's a lot, but yeah, Clay would, yeah, no. I'd be living in my car.
Because that's how we got Chunk. Oh, he's so cute. We can't, Toulouse needs company and blah, 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 blah.
The next litter, I did not keep a single one.
Because they were all chunks.
But she is in heat, so if I'm working.
I think she's on the downside. I think she's about out of it now. She's not acting as weird as she did.
Because she's ready.
She stays with me when when we're walking. So she's not whopping around.
Because she's scared you're going to kill her. Only the best for Mr. Caroline. Yeah, he's an investment. That is not a $30,000 cat. That's an investment. Your brother is totally fine. What did I miss?
Oh, about food.
Oh,
I cracked on Pennsylvania food, and then you asked if anybody there could eat regular food.
She gave birth to 5. And one of them didn't make it. The one that looked just like her, white with the black spots and the beige spots.
And the only female.
And no, they were all males. She's never had a female.
That one was a female.
No, it wasn't.
Oh, I thought it was.
No, she has had I guess 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 puppies, and all of them were males.
That's statistically not likely.
I'm aware, which I think just like, what is going on with this dog? She only has the boys. I don't know.
I really thought she had the one girl, and that's why you missed it so
Mm-mm.
much.
No,
Okay.
I missed it because it was white. That's the only white puppy she's had.
All the others have been black,
Mhm.
interestingly enough.
Yes, she delivers at home. I actually helped one of my neighbor's daughters with her pups when she delivered theirs. I don't know if we showed them on here or not, but the Aussie, the Aussies, they were going to go to the vet, and I was like, "Hang on, I'm coming. Let's not put everybody through all that stress if it's not necessary." And it wasn't. And she
Yeah,
had
and
8.
it's a little miniature Aussie. It's not the regular Australian
No,
Shepherd. It's a
it's
little
a
mini
normal.
Aussie.
No, hers are normal size. Linda's are mini, but her daughters are
Oh,
regular
you're
size.
talking about, yeah, her daughters. Okay.
Mhm.
Wrong one. I was thinking about, yeah. No, that's right. Okay. I stand
Yep.
corrected. Look at O'Jane. I
Aw,
had a great day harvest from my garden today. Potatoes, tomatoes, cucumbers, and peppers. I miss not having a garden.
I'm
Really
coming.
miss it.
I'll be right up. Let me get a plane ticket this time. But yeah, I mean, I've delivered lots throughout the years. Many, many, many. And it's,
She loves it.
I do. It's so much fun. I mean, I miss being a mama to a baby. So it's like I get to deliver little puppies and they're great and sling them and make sure they, stay alive. And there's all kinds of little tricks to do.
Yeah, I like the spanking part.
We don't spank puppies, we sling them. We sling them here down to get all the mucus and stuff out of their lungs and nose so they can breathe. So if any of you have puppies, just call me. I'll be there. Jane, I can pick you up in
Seriously.
Harrisburg. No kidding. It's not an expensive flight from here. Like round trips, like $300. I'll take it.
Yeah,
We
that's
might have
better
to do
than
that.
driving 2 whole days.
Better than driving 1,100 miles.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So hope y'all have all had a good week. Obviously, the news is still full um, of Trump, the assassination. Other, I don't want to call it news. I'll call it rumors because not really sure. But one thing pretty sure of is that the shooter was apparently on the roof of the police command center. Don't know if y'all have heard that or not,
Mm-hmm.
but I just I just thought that was, you can't make this stuff up kind of stuff. And then
Mm-mm.
today, the administration released information saying that they had reports of an Iranian assassination plot against Trump. And so they
Really?
increased security. Well, that increased security didn't know what the hell it was doing in terms of securing the area or getting Trump off the stage and, into the car. So it's like none of this makes sense. None of this makes sense. He reports the FBI couldn't get into his phone and then got into his phone. It's like,
Yeah,
okay,
they
which one's
did. They did last night, I think.
yeah.
But there's no word about what was in it. They're not going to release that.
So other reports today, 3 people were filmed talking about a shooter on the roof and a shooter up in the water tower.
Water tower. Yeah.
And I've, you can ask Ellen, I've long held that standard procedure would be to have 2 teams, 2 shooter teams. And to me, the best place was always up on top of the water tower. It gave you the supreme view, looking down at everything, clearest view, clear lines of fire. Most
Wait,
everywhere there
what?
was one little area where there's your view would be obscured by a line of trees, but the second team on the house that everybody saw the video of could cover that very easily.
Okay, hang on. I didn't see that. Are you sure? Did you text
Yeah.
or email, Jane?
Yeah. Sheeter was in a BlackRock commercial. Yeah. They went to the high
'Cause, you know
school and filmed some of the kids, and so he was one of the kids in the high school when it was filmed.
well, Eric Prince was on, um last night or yesterday with PBD, which was interesting. But you said
Yeah, and Eric
Blackwater
Prince
or
is the
BlackRock. Which
former
what am I talking about?
Eric Prince is
He's
the former founder of Blackwater, the
okay,
private
Blackwater and
military
BlackRock, I
group.
get confused. Yeah, sorry.
BlackRock's the investment firm. Blackwater's the military,
Okay, sorry.
private army.
Well, it
And of
said
course
I
he
was
sold it years ago. And so he's kind of out of it, but still well connected.
there is you have a lag in your video apparently. Um,
You talking to me?
yeah.
Yeah,
So
there's
I'm
a
trying to
5-second
find
lag.
I meant in the RNC. They were talking about Vivek talking, and I'm like, we haven't seen that. Okay, this is okay. I'm not sure what he was talking about.
In case y'all are wondering what Ellen is referring to, I've got a broadcast of the convention operating in the background, and whenever Ellen tells me, I'll flick it live so we can hear, whatever speaker is
Yeah.
speaking at that particular moment. All their speeches are pretty short, 3 to 5 minutes. And so we just thought some of that might be entertaining or interesting or somewhat informative, and, throw out comments on it.
And I don't know what the laws are in Pennsylvania. Jane would have a better idea about that as far as who is accountable for providing the gun. I know that there are some where the parents, if the gun comes from the parents, are liable, but he was 20, so I don't know. I don't know the answer to that one.
Yeah, under Penn law, I don't know if 20-year-old, if allowing access to guns can be negligence or not.
Yeah, he's
Not
over
sure.
18, so I think
Or
yeah,
18,
he's just an
yeah.
adult on and of his own. Um, I'm sorry, I'm keeping track with. Now I've got like 5 screens to look at, so that's fun. Um, I'm trying, y'all, to keep up. Go ahead.
Just to kind of, throw out some things which are, kind of, I guess, timely, and I thought might stimulate some questions. You've heard a lot of talk about Trump and Project 2025, or Trump and Agenda 47. Now, 2025 is a compilation of ideas by a think tank, Heritage Think Tank. And Trump hasn't endorsed it, said he hadn't even read it a week ago.
That was this weekend. That was a day before he was shot.
Okay.
Mhm.
Then, so not going to necessarily go into a lot of detail in that because I don't know how relevant it is. But Agenda 47 is kind of his baby, and there's some fascinating things in that series of ideas, and that's the best I can call it. I can't call it a list because I couldn't find a single list detailing each idea. He's got 40 something videos where he talks about the ideas, and
47.
47 of them. And honestly, I didn't watch them all. So I found some summaries and I'm operating off those summaries. And I thought that would be, a reasonable enough starting point for tonight. Now we'll start off with obviously one of my hot topics, education, particularly the failure of education. Most of y'all know I'm a pretty huge critic of the American educational system. And for those of you that may be new, I'm in the educational system. But Trump has outlined some proposals for K through 12, which I think is the area with the biggest crisis, because we are, particularly with inner city schools, so many inner city schools have 0 students who can read or write at grade level or any grade level. But one of his ideas is having the parents of that school elect the principal, which, thinking about it, I think is a great idea. They would interview the different candidates. They obviously would be more involved in knowing the teachers at that school. It gives the teachers a chance to, to be rewarded instead of going through some hierarchical system. And, a lot of people are talking about the parents need to be more and more involved in schools. Well, if parents start getting involved, the education establishment tells them, no, we'll decide what's best to teach them, how to teach them, whatever. And so they kind of blame it on the parents, but then they really do what they can to discourage parental involvement and parental influence, even
Okay,
parental control.
I'm gonna interrupt you real fast. If
Sure.
you will, I emailed you a link that's a better link to the RNC, and I'll still keep you updated, but just to get that one up instead.
Okay.
Sorry, y'all.
So what do y'all think?
I think
Parents?
anyone who puts parents um, decisions and opinions above those of the educators is probably a really good idea.
Yeah, if you
Anyone?
were a parent with a school-age child, would you want to be involved in choosing the principal?
Yeah.
As a parent, former parent, I'm like, hell yeah.
My son came home from middle school and called me a birth giver, I about slapped him. I was like, "Excuse me? I am your mother. I am not a birth giver."
Did he take the hint?
Yeah. Well, you know him. He was like, "Well, Jane's got a point."
Let's see. People can't even bother to research the political candidates. I don't think they'll do it with the schools. I'm just looking for ways to get parents more involved in the schools. I think we need to rework the whole educational system. I think we've developed a system that's a complete and utter failure by and large. There are some good schools, there are some very good teachers who really bust their butt trying to teach the students, but they're not enough. And some of the good ones are leaving because they're so frustrated by the lack of order, the lack of safety, the bureaucracy, all these kind of things. So I'm like, what's it going to hurt? Let's give it a chance. Just I'm up for most any change. I see the elementary and secondary schools at such a desperate point of failure. IQ for the first time in history has dropped the last several years in this country. Test scores have just remained flat for 20 or 30 years, despite tons of money being thrown at schools.
Yeah.
Something's got to break. Um, second idea is that, well,
All right,
he's
you
talking
might
about,
wanna I think Scalise is coming on next.
okay,
At least that's the email that I got because I'm getting emails every time somebody goes on stage.
okay. Well, the one just finished. Is Scalise
Yeah,
coming on immediately, or they're going to do the
somebody's walk
music interlude?
they might do the music, but somebody's walking up. Sorry, y'all. You can go ahead and share the sound and whatever and just mute it.
Yeah, I think that's just the music.
I'm just saying just keep it up there, and then you can just unmute it.
Yeah. Let me try something first. I'm gonna add it and then see if you can hear the sound, because I changed the screens, and sometimes StreamYard doesn't like that.
Yeah. So
Okay.
you can mute it now. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes when I change screens, StreamYard won't continue the sound, so I have to restart the whole thing. And StreamYard is the platform we use to broadcast. It's a common one for YouTube.
I
All
was
right, few
half
other
paying attention to what you were talking about. Sorry. I was trying to
No,
keep
that's all
up
right.
with everything.
I get it. The roles reversed last week, and I had 15 screens going. I had
Yeah.
10 or 20 people shouting in my ears with different directions. I had to type out, I don't know, 40 or 50 different letters and text. Finally got it done, but I understand I understand some of the difficulties. All right, still in education. What else does Trump want to do? He wants to cut funding to any school system teaching critical race theory.
Not just
Critical
critical race theory,
um
gender ideology, the whole.
well that's kind of in a little bit different section, but yes, it's still schools.
Mhm.
So he just wants schools to focus on reading, writing, and arithmetic and not try to
And science.
um yeah, reading, writing, arithmetic, and need to come up with something with R for science, but science, history, the main basic educational courses, which they're failing at teaching
Mhm.
because some people would argue they spend too much time teaching other things or doing other things. So, um, another thing he would do is end teacher tenure. That's a fascinating proposition. Now,
Right, Melissa's got a comment.
what about the arts? Didn't see anything about the arts, and personally, I would wanna continue the arts. I'd wanna
Mhm.
bring back what we used to call home ec, change the name if you want to or whatever, but I think kids graduating from, 8th grade, 10th grade need to be able to boil water, boil eggs, get their way
Moffitt,
around a
Scalise.
kitchen
Sorry.
and,
We'll get there.
do basic
Back to it,
sewing.
Melissa.
Hello, everybody. I'm Jim Justice,
Well,
and
no,
I'm
never
from
mind.
West Virginia. And I
Thank you,
It
Mr.
looked like him.
Justice. Appreciate that.
It looked like him.
That's all right.
Anyway. No, but the arts, I
Um,
think the arts are important, but I think that if you don't mind, Clay, I
go
think
ahead.
that there has been so much focus on education that is not basic learning, reading. Like no one, I'm gonna say no one, but what 60% of the kids that graduate high school can't read. They can't write. They don't know how to write a paper, just the regular 5 paragraph introduction, your 3 arguments and conclusion. They can't do it. The math is
Ellen,
horrible. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to interrupt you. We
Mhm.
have a damn cute dog.
A bulldog. He must be from Georgia. I don't know.
I don't know. I
No, but
love bulldogs. Go
I
ahead.
know. I just think we have lost perspective and we are drowning internationally as far as education.
Yeah,
I
I
know
feel
a lot of parents will take arts or music or any of that and teach their children outside of school, which I think is a great. I'm saying, appreciation of the arts is a wonderful thing, no doubt. But until we get the basics down, I think with science, reading, writing, arithmetic, and until we can master that at least by 3rd grade, I mean, come on. We got it. Our kids have got to be able to do those things, and they can't right now.
Yeah, I'll add this on. I'll say this about that if I can quote Richard Nixon. The arts. I remember when I was in school, we had art classes in elementary school, but basically we just handed a box of crayons and, some paper to draw on. There was no real instruction, no real development. I still draw sucky stick men. So if they're going to teach a course, I'd like to see it taught. As far as teaching, they have students 8 hours a day. Most of the new learning and the rigorous learning occurs according to studies, in about an hour and a half. Most homeschools, are 45 minutes to an hour and a half. And
And they
those
learn the
kids
exact same
outperform.
amount.
No, those kids outperform public schools. So, reading, writing, arithmetic, a good hour, hour and a half, 2 hours a day. Well, what do you do the other 6 hours? Well, you do arts, you do home ec, you do shop, you do welding, you do, mechanical engine repair. You do whatever else, woodworking.
Whatever makes you happy.
Yeah. So I think all of these kind of courses ought to be, running a garden. Kids shouldn't leave the 8th grade without knowing how to do basic gardening and sew up their own clothes and, cook an egg. So, but in terms of, a lot of the other stuff, the political stuff, the sexual stuff, no. And I don't care if you're gay, hetero, trans, whatever.
Whatever.
Yeah, nobody sexualizes kids. So that just, any school system that's trying to do that, or teacher that's trying to do that, ought to be fired. If the kids are small and young enough and whatever, I got to wonder if they're not a pedophile. And we've seen so many more teachers getting busted for having inappropriate relationships with students or having inappropriate class shows and demonstrations.
Oh,
Let's
God,
just get back. Let's just get back to the basics.
The whole hearing on all the children that we have brought into the United States illegally. There are at least 500,000 were just children. That's just a very conservative number. And we trafficked them. Taxpayer dollars paid for it. That's insane to me.
Yeah. And we lost track of a ton of them. Don't know where they are or what they're being used for.
Sky, you can totally video this. This is a public event, so there's no copyright or anything. You go for it, honey.
Jane, speaking of that, did you see John Deere is no longer promoting DEI? Saw that, and I also saw where Microsoft cut loose its DEI team today.
I'm surprised about that one.
I think, investors have been pulling out of DEI and sustainable type funds. Several of them have closed down. The thrill is gone. People are now focusing, once again on cash flow and future cash flow, which is what they should be focusing on as far as investing. So we'll talk about that a little bit more. Didn't see Trump's daughter and Melania and Barron. Did see his 2 sons.
Yeah.
But haven't
and
seen.
Lara.
Yeah. Haven't seen Melania and Barron.
I think that's because of security issues.
Yeah.
They did actually arrest a shooter, a would-be shooter, today outside the RNC.
They shot someone outside of the RNC. And only thing I just saw was, suspected another shooter. Haven't seen the details. Puppy for president. A lot of us could get behind that. They definitely need to bring home ec and shop back to the schools. They are life skills that I continue to use today.
Absolutely.
I want to say they're essential to happiness and peace because, I'm in a discipline that involves, a lot of writing, a lot of quantitative work, a lot of, statistical work. But the thing I enjoy most is working with my hands. I used to have a pretty decent little woodworking shop before I moved, had to leave a lot of that behind. And, have a little garden. Hadn't been able to have that in a decade, and I miss that. I miss working with my hands, and I look forward to the time when I can do that again. There's just a certain peace, there's just a certain joy, there's just a certain sense of success, pride that emanates when you see the fruits of your labors. And I
And I
think
think
that's
Go ahead.
important to life, to having a good life, a
Yeah, I think
well-balanced life.
Go ahead. I thought you were done.
I could be
Oh.
or not.
No, I hate you. I think Clay got a little jealous when I was like refinishing furniture, like his you call it a schiffer robe
Yeah.
or wardrobe that's like 100 years old. And I spent like an entire winter on this thing because it had so much wax and so much stuff on it. I mean, it took me forever to strip it down. And then I whitewashed it and sealed it and put like these sea glass handles on it, or drawers or knobs for the drawers, and did the took the mirror out of one small window in the top and put a light in there so Clay could put his scotch in there and show it off. And
So
no, but
Ellen
that
could put
was
my scotch in
fun.
there.
Well, your scotch needs a place, you know? Who? Okay, we got to listen to some. Who is this person that's coming up?
I have
You
no
know, we're
idea.
about to, because I think we're actually out of dishwasher taps.
Thanks, Sky. I appreciate your care and concern for my mental well-being.
You said you like to use your hands.
But seriously, working with your hands helps your mindset. I think it helps your spirit, your overall peace, and just
Yes.
satisfaction with the world. I think, there are studies that show that, getting your hands dirty, working in the dirt, walking barefoot, being grounded, whatever. I think those kind of things add to your overall state of well-being and maybe even contribute to your physical health. I think it's natural. But I enjoy it. Maybe I'm just, a little weird in that, but I enjoy it.
All right, you gotta tonight is all about the safety and the illegal aliens and the crime and all that stuff. We got to listen to
All right.
some.
Don't know who this is, but let's take a minute and see what he's saying.
Americans want a president who is proud of their country and who they can be proud of. Joe Biden is an embarrassment. We went from the strongest president of my lifetime in President Trump to the weakest president in history in Joe Biden. We need President Trump back in the White House if we're going to make America great once again. But ladies and gentlemen, he's going to need backup in the United States Senate. This is no time for wimpy Republicans. That's why I'm running. We'll start by securing the border. If you came here illegally under Joe Biden, you're going back to where you came from under Donald Trump. My dad was a Union Democrat for most of his life. Today, he's a Trump Republican.
Now that's something I've noticed. I know the head of one of the unions came out last night and said he's always been a Democrat, but not anymore.
I've seen a lot of comments like that. And last night, a lot of people were a little bit surprised that Amber Rose I don't know if y'all know who she is or not, but she's kind of a prominent um, model, kind of, how would I describe her? Hold on here. Let's see. I don't want to do her. She's a rapper and television personality as well. Has a big,
Oh, yeah.
huge Instagram site. Well, she came on last night and delivered really what was kind of a hell of a speech talking about what was in the best interest of her child. And that's why she was supporting Trump. Well, today, in response to her, a lot of people, primarily, young blacks, blacks in their 20s, whatever, that, follow her career in their pages, were coming out today and saying, everything that I have heard, just felt like I've been lied to. And, listening to Rose and actually going out and trying to look at some things. So I think, something like that did have an impact. And if you look at the polls, a lot of demographic groups are starting to shift. So I don't know that it'll continue. I don't know what the end result will be, but it's a fascinating kind of phenomenon if you follow politics and trends in this country, which I do, because I think, and I keep saying this, ideas have consequences. And so if you
They've
want to
had
know what the future is, understand the ideas that are being implemented today.
they've had a lot of consequences the past 4 years.
Jane, grounding is a thing. Sky, he gelled up his hair, this guy. I can't say much. I got a haircut and it's a little short. And so if I don't get it trained after it's wet,
It's short. Really, Moffat?
I look like Opie. And Melissa, it's called earthing. I think it's important. Let's see. What else?
For her courage and her support in this race.
This guy's great. He is a military veteran and his wife.
Do you know him?
And back
I've
home, I want to
heard of him, yes.
I do this for many reasons, and you are part of that mission.
Can you back that up a little bit to the beginning of his speech? Yeah, that's his wife.
Thank you. I want to start by thanking my God for my life. I want to thank my wife for her strength, for her courage and her support in this race.
Yes, she had reached out to me.
Did she?
Yeah.
And back home, I want to thank my children. I do this for many reasons, and you are part of that mission. Tonight, I offer a message of hope because I know the importance of hope in difficult times. On September 4th, 2008, my Humvee ran over a roadside bomb in Afghanistan. The explosion left me drenched in diesel and burning alive. As I neared death, I felt the flames being smothered and heard a voice say, "Sir, I've got you."
I've got goosebumps.
Through the pain and anguish of recovery and the years that followed, I never lost hope. And I stand before you I stand before you today as a Republican nominee for Senate from the great state of Nevada. America, I served you as a soldier, and I want to serve you again. As the U.S. Senator, I will proudly stand alongside Donald Trump to make America affordable, safe, and strong again. We have a tough fight ahead, but it won't be my first. Nevadans are suffering right now. The unemployment rate in Nevada is nearly 25% higher than the national average. The Biden-Harris economy might be fine for millionaires like Senator Jackie Rosen, but it's terrible for Nevadans struggling with inflation and high prices. Yet Jackie and Joe want to raise your taxes while dodging their own. I'll work with President Trump to cut taxes for working families and end taxes on tips for struggling Nevada service workers.
He just mentioned another point that Trump is proposed.
Mhm.
Service workers, primarily, waiters, waitresses, bartenders, work largely based off of tips. And the restaurants that they are employed by are responsible to report these tips so that they pay taxes on it, which, oftentimes creates some issues of its own. But one proposal Trump has is to eliminate the tax untaxable. What do you think? Would that, is that a good idea? Obviously, if you're in the service industry, you're like, yeah, probably.
I mean, I was a hairstylist, and well, we're not going to go there.
But yeah, a lot of different industries and workers get tips. People at hotels. So, and I've said this before, the average American works the months of January, February, March, and most of April just to pay their taxes.
Mhm.
Not any food, not any housing, not any medical, just their taxes. I think that's too high. Way too high, and particularly on the people that can least afford it.
Yeah, and service workers usually are the this doesn't sound good, but it's true. The bottom of the barrel as far as income. And I think Jane's also correct. Tipping is out of control. When they add it to your bill and you have crappy service, no, that is not. You pay for what you receive, and I think that anyone who is good service, you weren't displeased. 20%, great. If it was excellent service, then you pop that up. But and if they give crap service, I mean, I have seen my grandfather at times leave a penny. Back in the South, that was a thing. I mean, even if you left like 10% and a penny, that meant you did a crappy job.
Yeah, Melissa makes a good point. We're really the only nation that tips the way we do. You go into Europe and you try to tip somebody, in some cases, they may consider it rude. In some countries, in some areas, they pay them a higher wage, but no tipping. So is that preferable?
No. As a hairstylist, no. I mean, I got a percentage of what I charged, but I would have people tip me cash 100%.
Yeah, tips were a big part of your income.
Huge part of my income. I mean, I would, if I gave a $30 haircut to a guy and I got a $50 tip, That was the majority of my income. For that. Of course, I was excellent. I did a very good job. So, but I think that it's kind of like the merit system. You get what you put into it. Am I wrong?
No, I mean, going through school and college, I worked as a waiter, and it didn't take me terribly long to find out if I hustled, kept water glasses full, if I was
Smile.
courteous, nice, smiled, knew the menu so I could make suggestions depending on what
Hmm.
issues, problems, concerns they had. My tips were a whole lot better. And, going home with, you know, f- some nights, I would hit 500 or $1,000 in tips. I mean, I worked cleaning out cotton under a gin. I worked washing dishes in the back of a hamburger joint. I worked at a fine French restaurant, you know, but I couldn't make, depending on where I was, I couldn't make as much off an hourly wage as I could have made off of tipping.
Yep.
So in some instances, I preferred the tipping. In some others, I didn't. I see some of these Uber drivers and some of these people at, lower end restaurants that struggle, really struggle.
Well, I think there's a huge mistake too in the fact that a lot of people take out their food experience on the waiter waitress. Now that's something I have never done. If they were a great waiter waitress and the food issue was not their prop, the kitchen was backed up. They didn't have enough cooks back there. That is not her
Yeah.
fault, his or her fault. Um,
But they,
but I
but they
think you
do
have to have the
often pay
right,
for it.
yeah, but you have to have the right mentality too.
Yeah. Melissa, I agree, Jane. And most places add extra charges to your bill so we can help pay for the workers' health care or what have you. Yeah, I haven't seen that here down
Mhm.
south. I think that's more of a California thing.
Yeah,
Not that we're going to crack on California, Melissa,
not anymore.
but
Not today.
not
Now,
today.
you should get proper pay to begin with, and if somebody wants to tip you on top of that, then great. See, the thing is,
Yeah.
like, what being a hairstylist, I didn't have healthcare. I had to pay for that by myself. So I had to buy all my own products, rent my own booth, basically paid what? How many do we have there? One, two, three, four, five, 9 people there. 4 of us were part time. So we would do 3.5 days a week, but the 3 days we worked, we do 12 hours a day, and then the half day. And but yeah, I mean, we did it. We worked our butts off, and if we, got great tips, that was great. But we had to pay for everything. I remember during the 2020 2021, let's just say that I would cut hair for neighbors only if they would send a check to their hairstylist because I knew they weren't getting paid. I got 3 meals a
Yeah,
day for 50 years and never got a
never got
tip.
a tip here. But you
I
got to
say we
keep in
home
mind,
tipping.
Sky, you had 50 years of the joy of great company and companionship and fellowship,
And
the
love and raising
adoration and
children.
affection. So that's a hell of a tip. I don't think I
She's
convinced her, but
she's
nonetheless.
gonna smack you. Bring in home tipping. They say that the a female who is at home and does all the things. This was like 20 years ago. Technically, should earn like $150,000 a year for all the stuff that she does
Yeah.
that doesn't get paid for. But anyway, we're gonna go with that. Oh,
Whoops. It's everywhere here, not just California. I, j- I'm trying to think. Everywhere here, is that the West Coast or I don't know. like I say, I haven't seen it here in my travels around the South or Southeast. But it may be, because I honestly, the past year, haven't been out that much. So I may be speaking a little bit out of turn. Oh, I've got this stopped. I don't know who actually is on live.
Yeah, you should probably either finish that or fast forward through to the next. I don't know what you got. What going on there? Who's that?
Don't know.
He's cute. Let's watch him.
Huh.
To this day, there has been zero accountability, none. And that's why I'm running for the United States Senate in Montana, to bring back accountability to our government and beat Jon Tester, the liberal Washington politician who votes with Biden and Kamala every single time it matters.
We can get past that one and see what's next.
Girls are bad, boys are
I want
boys.
one of my peeps.
Last song my parents heard when their fathers were taken away in the middle of the night, and they never saw them again. That's my family's real life story.
Do what?
Are you sure? Are you sure, Sky?
I didn't see that. Yes, the problem with some of these, political speeches is they're like just saying cliches. They're just, going on about trying to get publicity for their own campaign. Don't blame them. It's, it's what you do, but not that, a lot of that is terribly interesting.
Let's speed it along. See who's next. I haven't gotten an email that I'm aware of. Oh, who's that? Oh yeah, he's good.
You
like
can talk with the great state of Florida. Well, the Democrats couldn't stop him. The media couldn't stop him. The liberal judges couldn't stop him. A bullet from a madman couldn't stop him. Can anything stop Donald Trump from becoming the next president and making America great again?
Yeah, Ellen was a little bothered last night. Somebody was wearing a blue tie.
It's an honor to be here to do everything.
JD Vance,
get him
not just anybody.
The White House, where he should belong every day going forward.
But he's not. He doesn't have the glassy eyes
Now, like
and the
all
half
of you, I'm
open
blessed.
mouth.
I was born to a single mom. I grew up in public housing. I started working at the age of 7. I enlisted in the U.S. Navy at the age of 18. Go Navy.
Of course you did, Jane. He's got beautiful eyes.
Only because I grew up in America. I was able, like many of you, to come from absolutely nothing to build one of the biggest companies in the world, be the 45th governor of Florida, a U.S. senator.
You're not
where
wrong.
We have to fight every day to stop the radical Democrats from absolutely destroying our great country. They will lose, we will win.
How many times do you think you'll hear in the Democratic convention, we've got to stop the radical Republicans from destroying our country?
Nope.
Sky, no wonder I didn't go to university. I had two parents. I had 2 parents and I still went. In fact, they kind of kicked me out. Wasn't like I had a big choice.
6 parents, and I went 3/4 through.
Yeah, my dad. I was the first one on either side of my family to go to college. Mom's side, dad's side, and Dad was adamant. I mean, he wanted that with every fiber of his body.
Push play, Clay. Let's keep going. Come on, let's get through it.
But it's boring.
He's a man baby.
Sky,
Y'all are
we're gonna have to
young,
have a
is what
talk.
she's saying. Push play.
Nobody wants to hear this crud.
I do. I like him.
USA, USA.
He's terrible, but he also has a speech impediment, a
He
major
will.
speech impediment.
Now, let me tell you about a dream I had recently. I had a dream and I did some time traveling.
I'm not talking to you, Alexa.
I traveled into the future to an imaginary world where actually Joe Biden got reelected.
Should we just pause the screen on the last guy?
Ghost of Christmas past? Well, in my dream, I met the ghost of Biden.
Keep going then. All right.
Don't know
Play.
who that is,
I
but he
do.
doesn't
Go
have
ahead.
a red tie, so we can't
Just hit play.
watch him. Thank you, Sky. I appreciate the help.
Thank you. Thank you.
This is a congressman. I can't remember which
Good evening.
his name.
My
Sorry.
name is Jeff Van Drew.
Van Drew. That's right.
I'm
I like
glad you
him a
agree.
lot.
Tonight, I want to tell you my story.
He's very well spoken.
I'm a proud Republican, but I haven't always been a Republican. I was elected to several offices in South Jersey and eventually was sent to the United States Congress, all of them as a conservative Democrat. Along the way, I noticed that I didn't like what the Democrats had become as a party. But more importantly, I didn't like what the Democratic Party was doing to our great United States of America. To the independents, and especially to the forgotten Democrats out there, for a moment, I want to speak to you. I know how you feel tonight, because that's how I felt back in 2019. You feel like your party has left you behind because it has. You feel like your party doesn't care about American workers and American working families because it doesn't. And you are worried that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are hurting our country because they are. I felt the same way. So after being a Democrat to vote against impeaching Donald Trump, I took a long walk with my chief of staff. I remember saying to her that perhaps my time in elected office was done. And you know what? I was okay with that. There was no way I could be a Democrat anymore.
The same Tulsi Gabbard story.
But then I received a call from the White House. President Trump asked me to meet with him. We spoke about family, faith, freedom, and friendship. He has been my good friend ever since that day. He said that I should be a Republican. I said, Mr. President, I will be a Republican. He said he would stick by me, and he always has. Ladies and gentlemen, after the tragic shooting last Saturday, we need to come together. All of us, Republicans, Democrats, and independents, we need to be the shining city on.
Well, let me ask you guys. You know,
You pause it.
he was
when
talking
you're-
about. Yeah, he was talking about. You know, he converted from a Democrat to a Republican. Like I say, I've heard dozens of people reiterating this just the past day or two on Twitter. People that really don't come from a culture or background that's highly Republican. What do y'all see any of that going on? Do y'all sense any of that going on? Do you think any of that's going on? Yeah,
Dave
is
Rubin, Joe Rogan, Bill Maher.
now Bill Maher hadn't come out for Trump, has he?
He said he's not going to vote for Biden.
Biden? Interesting.
And then there's the guy, the redheaded guy in New York, comedian, an actor.
Carrot Top?
No, oh God, no. Sorry, I knew him. Shoot, what is his name? Michael something. He's Jewish, and he was just like, no, can't do it. Can't. He's like, I'm not going to vote for Biden, and I'm not going to vote for RFK. So I guess it's Trump. He's like, I never ever thought I would say that, but I can't do the same thing that's been going on for the past 4 years.
And Jane, I see it in the voter rolls. And, I have seen that mentioned from several states where Republican enrollment is increasing greatly. Now, I'm kind of like Melissa here. Personally, I don't know of anyone who has come out and stated that. But I do know I work in a generally liberal environment. And, 4 years ago, couple months before the election, 3 months before the election, you saw Biden stickers everywhere. I don't see any Biden stickers now.
Nope.
Looking at some of the market reaction, and this is kind of subtle, but under Trump, you would have a broader based market. A lot of the policies of this administration favor high tech. I mean, they're obviously well connected with a lot of the tech firms and funded by a lot of the tech firms, supported by a lot of the tech firms. And the tech firms have done really, really well. Really well. In fact, I saw something today. I'll go ahead and throw this up.
We're going to lose the volume.
Maybe not.
Oh, maybe not.
If we look at, and I've talked about this before, how the movement in the S&P 500 has basically been 5 or 7 stocks. We call them the Mag 7, Magnificent 7. Well, the growth in the Mag 7 over the past year has become just obscene. The market cap, the value of those 7 firms is now greater than any non-US stock market in the world, including China's, including Japan's, including Germany's, UK's, whatever. That group alone is now worth $15.7 trillion, which just about doubles China's 8.7. That's massive.
It is.
Well, the
And
last
can I request that we change the subject for a second?
Okay, well, let me finish this real quick.
Okay.
Now, talking about, I've seen a shift. The last couple of days, the tech sector has been hit pretty hard. The small cap companies, the bulk of the remainder of the S&P 500, and some of the other large cap companies have done well. Like I say, it's only 2 days, but it's kind of like you can feel there's a sentiment change in the market. Now, whether it lasts, something else causes it to change, I don't know. But I thought that was interesting, particularly with what we were saying. Ellen?
Sorry. Now, I was going to ask if you would go over the, because it's time for my short little break, my baby break. If you would go over the prophecy, which was fascinating to me. Clay sent me this video, and I was like, "What?" He's like, "Have you watched the video?" I said, "No, I haven't watched the video." He said, "Watch the video." I said, "Okay." This blew my mind completely. I was like, there is no freaking way. And I think he kind of felt the same way.
Bringing
Do the-
forth
I did. That's why I sent it to her.
Yeah.
And let me preface this.
Again, I'm going to take a little break.
Okay. And I might lose some of you on this, but I promise you, if you watch a minute, you'll probably be interested. This guy
Clay
claims,
is not into this stuff at all.
Yeah, this guy claims to be a prophet, and he's recounting. This was filmed back in March, so 4 months ago. And so, I saw this on Twitter or something, and I looked it up just to watch the whole thing and make sure what I heard was what I heard. And what I heard was what I heard. So here is, it's just a few minutes, an excerpt of a few minutes, but I think you'll find this pretty damn interesting. This guy is sharing a prophecy that he says was given to him previously.
new patriotism upon the nation, and it was coming.
Can y'all
it was
hear
being
that?
birthed, and it just kept spreading like fire all throughout America, all throughout. And I saw Trump rising up, and then I saw an attempt on his life. This bullet flew by his ear, and it came so close to his head that it busted his eardrum. And I saw he fell to his knees during this time frame, and he started worshiping the Lord. He got radically born again during this time frame. I'm talking, people say he's saved now, but he becomes really on fire for Jesus, for what I saw coming. And then I saw people interceding when I saw him winning the presidency.
Now, did y'all catch that 4 months ago? He said he saw a attempt on Trump's life, and the bullet just barely missed him, went by his ear, shattered his eardrum, which if you're having a dream and you see blood coming out of somebody's ear, that would probably be a logical conclusion. 4 months ago.
Through great, the Lord showed me it would go clear into the summer. Great persecution would come on him through the judges and through the law and all these people trying to sue him and all this stuff. But there would be a stop to it, and things would start to break free come toward the fall. And then I saw him winning the election through the Patriots coming out and voting, and then there will be a great economy crash. Yeah. I saw they had a great economy plan, a crash. Yeah. Worse than the Great Depression. And the Lord warned me about this. It would be a great dark time. But I saw paddles coming upon America's soil, like a shocking of the soil. And I saw Donald Trump praying in the office of the Oval Office, and he was weeping before the Lord with his hands on his head like this, but he was weeping. And there was ministers and people. I don't know if they were senators or Congress people or whatever. I just saw them pacing and back and forth inside of the White House. What is the White House, but it's the Oval Office. Yeah. And they were interceding all inside there, and I could feel the presence of the Lord so strong on this. And then I could see that darkness that was that heaviness upon America with the financial crisis of what I saw coming. It started to lift above the trees, and I saw the blue and the things coming back out, and the green times and the good times coming back again. But the Lord said it would be forth a time of a season of a shaking, and it would be a shaking to awaken. And in this, this would basically that he was not done with America. There would be a great revival come, and it's not all doom and gloom. That's what he said. The sky.
Okay, couple things. I mean, broken clock is correct twice a day, but a broken clock doesn't describe the bullet going right past the ear, damaging the eardrum, and Did you hear him talking about, and all the legal cases will be done away with? I mean, just in the past 2 days, we've seen the Florida case dismissed. And then today, a ruling came out in Fannie Willis's case. She's going to be tried in December. And the Trump case there in Atlanta has been postponed indefinitely. So just in 2 days, 2 cases vaporized. Fannie's going to be tried on improprieties associated with the Trump prosecution. So that's fascinating. Third thing is that he's talking about, some economic crisis in the future. I'm no prophet, and I'm not laying claim to any degree of prophecy. I just follow the trends. And, I have said for a while that it's very likely that hard times are coming and that chaos is going to increase. I still see the same things. So I just thought those 3 calls, now there's a lot of other talk and all, which, may turn some of you off. But if you look at those 3 things, so far he's 2 out of 3, and things are heading toward the 3rd. So I thought that was kind of fascinating. I don't know, but I did think that I would take the opportunity and show it to you if you hadn't seen it. And I would presume most people haven't seen it. It's not something that's going to get a whole lot of airplay or space. I'm not recommending that guy, that channel. I have not looked into his previous track record. Nothing along those lines.
You didn't read the full comment.
What full comment?
James.
Ellen said, I didn't read Jane's full comment. If you choose to be a skeptic, or you can believe it's divine intervention and he received this prophecy. I thought I read that, but maybe I didn't read it out loud. Anyway, there are things in this world I cannot explain. I just look at them and go, wow. Well, this is kind of one of those things. Your thoughts? And it's okay to say I'm off my rocker. I don't take it personally. I have been chewed out by people that have elevated it to an art form, so don't feel bad. Let's see, who else? Anybody else speaking so far? I don't know who that is. Jane May. Do what? In case y'all are wondering, Ellen kind of talks to me from the other room when she comes down for her break. So it's a little awkward to understand her with everything going on and these ear things in. I think she's headed up back to her studio. So some things going on, we're talking about the Mag 7, some things going on in the market. Tech stocks are acting like they're in a bear market. Pretty quick turnaround there. Like I say, small caps are rising like a bull market. Gold prices have been rising fairly strongly, which may signal that, we're still in an inflationary environment. Bond prices are falling, and bond prices is something probably I will talk about in more detail Saturday. I'll probably talk about Bitcoin and some things going on in the world that are going to affect bond prices and interest rates, regardless of what the Fed does. Oil prices are falling, like rate cuts are canceled.
Sky's got a comment. It's a wow moment, or he is involved in the attempted murder. He is a huge Trump supporter, so I think it's more of a wow moment, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, but it was uncannily accurate.
Yeah.
And
You
so
can't predict that the guy was going to miss.
right by his ear, and his
Yeah.
ear would bleed.
So
And then that the cases would be thrown out, which also has happened the last 2 days. I don't know if you heard, but the Fannie Willis case
funny.
trial was set for her in, I call her Fannie,
I know.
was set for her in December, and the Trump
Yep.
trial delayed indefinitely. If she's found guilty, it'll probably be dropped for prosecutorial misconduct. So, that's some interesting calls. What do y'all think?
I think we should watch the rest of Andrew.
Was Van Drew the little guy in the blue?
That the guy that you had paused, I think.
Well, I scanned through
Other-
ahead.
Wait, what did you do? What did you do? Okay. You need to go back. That's him.
Greatest
We can't-
country that ever existed on the face of the earth, the United States of America.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the chair of the United States House of Representatives Republican Conference, Congresswoman Elise Stefanik of New York.
Stefanik. People hate her. She's loud. She's another like MTG.
Good
Let's see if she
evening,
can-
Milwaukee.
Rouse the crowds.
We always say that this is the most important election in our lifetime, but we know deep down this one truly is. Our Constitution and the soul of our very nation are on the ballot. Under Joe Biden, the American people have suffered crisis after crisis. From the Biden border, the most wide open border in our nation's history, to Bidenflation, the highest rate of inflation in my lifetime, devastating hardworking families with skyrocketing prices for groceries, gas, and utilities.
Can you pause real quick?
Violent crime crisis fueled by
Okay, so she needs you to fix her hair. I would try. No, Joe Biden keeps saying that he inherited a 9% inflation. It was at 1.24%.
And it stayed that way for about
A hot
a
minute.
year and a half. Let me see. Let me
Because it
check
did
that.
not he did not inherit 9% inflation. And Clay had the exact same reaction to another person last night. He was like, the curls, they need to do something with those. But you can go ahead and hit play if you want to again while you look up whatever you're looking up.
Well, Biden took office in January of 21. So like Ellen said, it was 1.4%.
Okay, 1.4, sorry.
Yeah. In March, it was still 2.6. And from there, it began a steady increase. And by the end of the year was breaking 5 and 6%. And then peaked at 9% the middle of 22. At which time the Fed was hiking the hell out of rates.
Well, he still claims that it was 9% in 2021 January.
Yeah, that's just not the case.
No.
Good news, bad news is that Powell the other day came out and said that the Fed doesn't necessarily need to wait till inflation drops to 2% before the Fed can start cutting rates.
Cutting?
Now,
okay.
Yeah. Now the core rate, which is the main inflation rate without energy and food, you take those two components out because they're kind of volatile. And you get kind of the underlying inflation rate. The Fed pays a little bit more attention to that than they do just the fluctuations in the CPI. Well, that still is at 3% and is really not dropping. So,
and that is
what happens
3 on top of whatever it was before and before and before. This is the month it keeps going up.
The increases have slowed. Prices are not decreasing. They're just increasing at a slower rate. Could it be all the money we sent to Ukraine that caused inflation?
We've had this discussion. I think Clay said probably not, but it's not gonna.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
It certainly hasn't helped any. But inflation is always more money chasing same amount of goods, or more money chasing fewer goods. And what really kicked it off was, Trump did a big stimulus plan, but it was only temporary. 2 weeks was the idea. And so the stimulus was to try to pay people for their loss of work. And I didn't support that. I thought that was a bad idea at the time. Anyway, when Biden takes office, he's encouraging lockdowns and continued lockdowns. And so he starts programs where we're paying monthly stimulus. And this monthly stimulus, these were large checks. Like, we said before, we knew a kid who was working part-time. He's 19 years old, I think, and was making $200 a week, $300 a week working part-time. And he started getting checks for $900 a week. And that lasted for nearly a year. So it was a double whammy. One, you had tons of money flowing into the economy, and production had halted. Everybody was locked up at home. So you had more money chasing fewer goods. That's what kicked off inflation, along with, Biden signed over 80 executive orders to limit oil production. And he really started, cutting new development, canceling leases, canceling several pipelines. And oil prices really started jumping. So you had the combination of the increase in oil, you had the stimulus money, you had the drop in production, in productivity. Those three things together really are what hammered and knocked inflation off its base and caused it to rise so fast.
All right, let's keep going.
Democrats pro-criminal sanctuary cities and defund the police policies like we have seen in my home state.
Move your cursor, Clay.
All while corrupt Democrat prosecutors and judges wage illegal and unconstitutional lawfare against President Trump in an effort to Biden's political bidding. And around the world, the feckless and failed Joe Biden has caused chaos, weakening our national security. From the catastrophic withdrawal from Afghanistan, to Putin's invasion of Ukraine, to Hamas's terrorist attack against our most precious ally, Israel. And let me ask you a question. What has been the response from the radical left on our college campuses? Vile anti-Semitism, chanting death to Israel, death to Jews, death to America. This is Joe Biden's Democrat Party. Who saw that congressional hearing with the college presidents of so-called elite universities?
I did.
Oh, wait, they are former presidents. You know, I asked one simple question at that hearing. It was not a political question. It was a moral question, and that was this. Does calling for the genocide of Jews violate your university's code of conduct? And one after the other, said it depends on the context. Let me tell you, America knows it does not depend on the context. President Trump will bring back moral leadership to the White House, condemning anti-Semitism and standing strong with Israel and the Jewish people. President Trump will once again deliver the most secure border in our nation's history and unleash the American economy. And he will bring peace through strength as commander-in-chief, standing with our allies and causing our enemies to fear us. President Trump has done it before, and he will do it again. This November, we are counting on you. We need to save America by electing President Donald J. Trump. It is clear for the whole world to see nothing, absolutely nothing will stop President Trump from standing and fighting for our great country. And I have been proud to always stand in the breach during the toughest moments for President Trump, from leading the charge against illegal impeachments to standing for election integrity to unifying House Republicans.
Well, let me ask y'all, several of the speakers talk about how Trump will once again let the good times roll. Paraphrasing here. What do y'all think? Were you better off 4 years ago, 5 years ago, before COVID? Were things, in a better and positive direction for you or your community or your city, state? Obviously COVID knocked a lot of things off.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, particularly as I have seen who was funding that bioweapons lab in China's research. I don't necessarily blame Trump for COVID. And
you mean the Rosemont Seneca thing that
the
Bidens actually funded the research?
Yeah, the whole thing, the whole mess. But taking out the COVID crisis for both of them. What do you think? Were you better off?
I was. I don't know about you.
I think Trump looked
don't
awful
call her
last
dog.
night.
That's Scott.
I know. Thank you, Scott. I think Trump looked awful last night, and he is in shock.
He was definitely different, and I think he was different. Either he has really embraced the fact that his life is in danger now, and that people really do want to take him out. Which, I think a lot of us knew it, but no one could predict it like that guy that Clay showed you, Brandon Biggs. But he looked much more afraid.
I don't know. I didn't sense fear. I sensed a
Awareness?
seriousness. No,
Yeah.
I sensed a seriousness, almost a quiet determination. you know, like when he got up off the floor and he was, you know, chanting fight, fight, fight. I think, you know, there's something in his spirit that wants to destroy those that, you know, in his view, tried to destroy him or have hurt the country. But I've also
Excuse
noticed
me.
a change in his entire approach, speech, and conduct this campaign. He's not near as, you know, I refer to Trump as a narcissistic asshole because oftentimes in the past, he was so sensitive to comments, criticism. He was oftentimes very, you know, I don't know if insensitive's the word, just snippy,
Snarky.
you know, and snarky. And don't get me wrong. I like his sense of humor. I like a feisty sense of humor. I also generally like his policies. I don't agree with all of them, but I think he's, you know, it's not just a competitive race anymore. I think the stakes have been raised and raised immensely. And I think that's what you saw last night was the increasing realism of the significance of this. You know, this campaign, this convention and all is, you know, it's a lot of frivolity. It's kind of a big party. But Trump's and those, you know, close to him, I don't think any longer they're in a party mood. I think, you know, as of, you know, Monday morning, it's a new world. I don't know if it's a brave new world, but it's a new world for them. And so I think they see things differently. Sky is the name of my dog and Ricky as well. So it really doesn't matter if you call me dogs. I just see the title pop up with your comment or question after it. And just out of habit, I just, you know, identify who's asking it. Melissa, we're agreed. But I hope that he is.
Here we are. Okay. I found my other camera real quick. Sorry.
Yeah. I hope he is cooling his jets and developing a little bit better public speaking ability or aplomb, courtesy, manners, whatever.
Yeah. And honestly, I don't care if you're a narcissistic asshole as long as you're doing the right thing for the country. You can be whatever you want to be.
Yeah, I remember in surgery, I worked my way through school in surgery. I was the one who passes the instruments to the surgeon. And I was privileged to work with a cardiovascular surgeon. How can I say this? Worked with. I was in the same operating suite as, you know, he was. I never worked a case for him. He did open heart. And he had one team, one group that would work with him. I'll just call him Dr. M. And Dr. M studied under DeBakey, the guy that first developed the artificial heart, pioneered open heart surgery. M was an incredible surgeon, an incredible technician, perfect in his work and detail. I mean, significantly different than others. But if something went wrong, if he was handed the wrong type of hemostat or clamp, he would get so mad, he would throw it across the room. He was a temperamental, foul-mouthed asshole who was a absolute, incredibly perfectionist in his work. And he expected everybody else to be perfect. And when they weren't, you faced his wrath. So in some ways, he could be miserable to work for. Flip side is, if I ever had to have open heart surgery,
he's the one you want.
That's the guy I'd go to, or would have gone to. He's since retired. And I kept up with him.
right, let's keep
So
playing here.
so that's kind of the way I look at, some of the politicians. I don't care as much about their personal life or details as I do what they actually do in office.
To proudly being the first member of Congress to endorse him for re-election. And as we embark on the difficult path ahead to save America, call upon Galatians 6:9, and let us not grow weary of doing good, for in due season we will reap if we do not give up. We the people will never give up on President Trump, and we will never give up on the United States of America. God bless you, God bless President Donald J. Trump, and God bless the United States of America.
If you're going to move ahead a little bit, I can tell. Okay. You're going real fast.
That's right. Which is why I'm confident that we will make history this November when we turn Minnesota red for the first time in 50 years.
Keep going. I mean, I love Minnesota, but who's that
He
guy?
looked
Hang
kind
on.
of feisty.
That's Scalise. I want to watch Scalise. No. Yeah.
Louisiana. Now, I was born in New Orleans, so I've seen some crazy things in my time. But New Orleans has nothing on Washington, D.C. these past 4 years. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have spent your tax dollars trashing America's finances in ways no sane or sober-minded person ever would. Let's talk energy. They've eroded the American energy dominance that President Trump delivered. Joe Biden approved the Nord Stream pipeline for Russia, but he killed the Keystone pipeline here at home. Thousands of American jobs gone. It doesn't end there. Biden let Iran and Venezuela export their oil, but he stopped liquefied natural gas exports here in America. President Biden's not done. President Biden waived taxes on Chinese solar panels, but he raised taxes on Americans. When we elect Donald Trump as our next president and expand our Republican House majority, we will end the Democrats' assault on American energy once and for all. Now let's look at taxes. Biden and Harris want a $5 trillion tax hike. In our first 100 days, President Trump and a Republican majority will make the Trump tax cuts permanent. And yes, we will end taxes on tips and deliver another tax cut for working families. On the border, Biden and Harris opened it up to the entire world. Prisons are being emptied. President Trump and a Republican majority will repass H.R. 2, the strongest border security bill in decades. We will lock down the border, and yes, we will finish building the wall.
Thank God.
On voting, our most sacred right as citizens, voting. Biden and Harris want illegals to vote now that they've opened up the border. Republicans will repass the SAVE Act to block illegal aliens from voting in our elections. On foreign policy, Biden and Harris brought us weakness and war. President Trump and a Republican majority will begin rebuilding our military and will end the woke indoctrination in its ranks. We will restore American power and peace. On education, Biden and Harris opposed school choice. They actually investigated parents at school boards. President Trump and a Republican majority will pass legislation expanding school choice and will repass the Parents' Bill of Rights. Parents should be free to choose what their children are taught and where. Now, lastly, I need to say something about Saturday's attempt on President Trump's life. Many of you know I was the survivor of a politically motivated shooting in 2017. Not many know that while I was fighting for my life, Donald Trump was one of the first to come console my family at the hospital. That's the kind of leader he is. Courageous under fire, compassionate towards others. Let's put Donald Trump back in the White House this November so we can make.
That was abrupt. Oh, Mike Johnson. You're not going to listen to Mike Johnson? You don't Vivek.
I'm going to go to Vivek. One, because it's getting a...
It's actually Vivek, but...
Yeah, whatever.
I do want to go back and listen to Mike. No, you can do Vivek first. It's fine.
Make up your mind.
I just said I do want to go back and listen to him.
Make up your mind.
You were just there.
All right, now this is, give you a little background on this. This is Ellen's favorite VP choice.
He was also my favorite presidential choice.
She loves the dude.
And he just makes sense.
Yeah. So we'll see what he has to say.
This right now. Faith, patriotism, hard work, and
you can just fast forward. There you go. I love me some Vivek.
Love it. Thank you, guys. Thank you for the warm welcome. It's good to be back in Milwaukee. This time last year, I was the candidate for U.S. president, and I'm proud to say that I achieved the impossible, which is that most of you actually know how to say my name by now. So thank you for that.
Vivek Ramaswamy.
We're in the middle of a national identity crisis right now. Faith,
he's wearing a blue tie,
patriotism, hard work, and family have disappeared, only to be replaced by race, gender, sexuality, and climate. But we're not going to win this election just by criticizing the other side. We're going to win this by standing for our own vision of who we really are. What does it mean to be a Republican in the year 2024? What does it mean to be an American in the year 2024? It means we believe in the ideals of 1776. It means we believe in merit, that you get ahead in this country, not on the color of your skin, but on the content of your character and your contributions. It means we believe in the rule of law. And I say this as the kid of legal immigrants to this country. That means your first act of entering this country cannot break the law. That is why we will seal the southern border on day one. Thank you. It means the people who we elect to run the government ought to be the ones who actually run the government, not unelected bureaucrats in the deep state. These are not black ideas or white ideas. They are not even Democrat ideas or Republican ideas. They are American ideas that we fought a revolution to secure. And the man who will revive these ideals in the United States of America is your next president, the 47th president of the United States, Donald J. Trump. If you want to seal the border, vote Trump. If you want to restore law and order in this country, vote Trump. If you want to reignite the economy in this country, vote Trump. If you want to revive national pride in this country, vote Trump. If you want to make America great again, vote Trump.
But there is one more reason I'm going to ask you to vote Trump, and it's the most important one. It's the one the media won't talk about, but it's the truth. Donald Trump is the president who will actually unite this country, not through empty words, but through action. Because you know what? Success is unifying. Excellence is unifying. That's who we are as Americans. That's who we've always been. To those of you watching this at home tonight, I'd like to deliver a message that the media doesn't want you to hear from the Republican Party. Our message to Black Americans is this. The media has tried to convince you for decades that Republicans don't care about your communities, but we do. We want for you what we want for every American. Safe neighborhoods, clean streets, good jobs, a better life for your children, and a justice system that treats everyone equally, regardless of your skin color and regardless of your political beliefs.
Amen.
Our message to every legal immigrant in this country is this. You're like my parents. You deserve the opportunity to secure a better life for your children in America. But our message to illegal immigrants is also this. We will return you to your country of origin, not because you're all bad people, but because you broke the law. And the United States of America was founded on the rule of law.
Yep.
Our message to millennials, speaking as one myself. Yes, it's true. Our government sold us a false bill of goods with the Iraq War and the 2008 financial crisis, loading up our national debt that falls on our generation's shoulders, telling us that if we took out college loans, we'd somehow get a head start on the American dream when it hasn't worked out that way. But we can't just be cynical about our country because the United States of America is still the last best hope that we have. And we deserve a better class of politician, one who actually tells us the truth, even if it comes with some mean tweets from time to time. And our message to Gen Z is this. You're going to be the generation that actually saves this country. You want to be a rebel? You want to be a hippie? You want to stick it to the man? Show up on your college campus and try calling yourself a conservative. Say you want to get married, have kids, teach them to believe in God and pledge allegiance to their country. Because you know what? Fear has been infectious in this country, but courage can be contagious too. That too is what it means to be an American. And you know what? If you're at home and you disagree with everything I just said, our message to you is this. We will still defend to the death your right to say it, because that is who we are as Americans. We are the country where we can disagree like hell and still get together at the dinner table at the end of it. That is the America I know. That is the America we miss. We do not have to be ancient Rome. We don't have to be this nation in decline. We can still be a nation in our ascent. A nation whose best days, not in some fake politician way, but in a true way, a nation whose best days are actually still ahead of us. Still on our way to that shining city on a hill, that country where no matter who you are, or where your parents came from, or what your skin color is, or how long your last name is, that you will still get ahead in this country with your own hard work, your own commitment, your own dedication, and that you know what? You are free to speak your mind at every step of the way. That is the American dream. That is what won us the American Revolution. That is what reunited us after the Civil War. That is what won us 2 world wars and the Cold War. That is what still gives hope to the free world. And if we can revive that dream over group identity and victimhood and grievance, then nobody in the world, not a nation, not a corporation, not a virus, not China, is going to defeat us. That is what American exceptionalism is all about. And that is what we will revive this November when we send Donald J. Trump back to the White House. Thank you all. God bless you and your families. And may God bless our United States of America. Thank you. Thank you.
You know, pause. I've got words. Y'all are going to find this probably ridiculous, but my family has fought in every war in the United States since 1700. So I have a little bit of vested interest in this company, and this country, and I was taught to respect what my family had done for me, the lives that were lost, the battles that were fought. It was important because they were freedoms, and people on this channel I know may not agree with me, but like Vivek, what I was taught, I will still fight like hell for your right to have your opinion. Because that is what America is about. It is not about censorship. It is not about dividedness. And I hate the way this country has gone recently because it's all divided and there's no reason for it. And some of you will say it's divided because of the Republicans. Well, I disagree. I think it's the opposite. The divisiveness in this country is going to kill the country if we don't do something to come back together. If you want your freedom of speech, you want your freedom of press, you want your freedom of religion, you want all the freedoms that you now have and are afforded to you, then we got to find a way to come together, because there is no other way this works. None. And once you give up your freedom, it always takes blood to get it back. It always takes war. It always takes fighting. And I don't want to see this country go there, but I am in fear that's exactly where we're headed.
Second best speech I've heard. Maybe the best. His and Amber Rose's. Amber Rose's wasn't as dramatic, but it was just straight from the heart. It was just a simple, earnest speech. And neither one of them, was trying to, edify themselves or secure advantage in power or office. And that's something that bothers me about a lot of politicians. But damn good speech. My opinion.
Did you download it? I thought you were about to present it. No?
Present what?
Oh, I thought you were about to show her speech. No?
Amber's? No, I did not download it. Probably should have.
You have Charlie Kirk's there, right?
Yeah.
His was not terrible.
How many of y'all saw Amber Rose's speech?
I did, but we know that.
How many others?
We're not getting any responses.
Trying to see if I can find it real quick.
Oh, and if y'all didn't know, just FYI, my great uncle signed the Texas Declaration of Independence. So I am like America.
All right. In case you haven't seen it, since we've talked about it a couple times, this is Amber Rose.
Hello, my name is Amber Rose.
We'll see you later, Jane.
Entrepreneur Thank you. But most importantly, I'm a mother. My whole
Thank you,
world
Jane.
revolves around providing for my children, keeping them safe, and giving them an opportunity for a better life. That's something that unites all American parents, whether we're Republicans, Democrats, conservatives, or liberals. We all want a better country for our children. But I'm here tonight to tell you, no matter your political background, that the best chance we have to give our babies a better life is to elect Donald Trump President of the United States. Now, you may be wondering why I'm up here telling you this. I'm no politician and I don't want to be, but I do care about the truth. And the truth is that the media has lied to us about Donald Trump. I know this because for a long time I believed those lies. So I'm here to set the record straight. The first person I knew who supported Donald Trump was my father. I was shocked. My entire family is racially diverse. And I believed the left-wing propaganda that Donald Trump was a racist. My father said, "No, he's not, Amber. What are you talking about?" And when I insisted, he said, "Prove it." So to prove my father wrong, I did my research and looked into all things Donald Trump. People have to do their research. I watched all the rallies, and I started meeting so many of you, his red hat wearing supporters. I realized Donald Trump and his supporters don't care if you're black, white, gay, or straight. It's all love. And that's when it hit me. These are my people. This is where I belong.
Her tribe.
So I let go of my fear of judgment, of being misunderstood, of getting attacked by the left, and I put the red hat on too. Thank you. Love you too. I never felt more free and more love for my country than I do now. I want to thank my father, who's in the audience tonight, for opening my eyes. He served over 20 years in the U.S. military. Thank you for your service, Dad. I love you, Dad. I love you. I love you so much. Thank you. When I met the president and Melania for the first time, he was kind and generous and funny as hell. Very funny. The First Lady was gracious and smart with a smile that will brighten up any room. If you're watching this tonight, you know our country is in trouble, just like me. When you go to the store and buy food for your family, you're shocked. When you fill up your gas tank, you're pissed. I know I am. And when you turn on the news, you are just exhausted. Inflation is out of control. And you know in your heart, it was not like this under Donald Trump. My message to you tonight comes from a humble place. The left told me to hate Trump, and even worse, to hate the other side, the people who support him. When you cut through the lies, you realize the truth. American families were better when Donald Trump was president. We were safer, wealthier, and stronger. A vote for Donald Trump is a vote to put money back in our pockets and good food on our kids' plates. Yes. Or, as Trump would say, it's a vote to make America great again. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So, like I say, I've seen, a number of people saying this was kind of an eye opener for them. People who follow her. And I guess this was, she posted this on some of her social media sites as well.
Mhm.
So, interesting reaction to that. It's rare I see a speech given where people can say, hey, this one speech opened my eyes, made me think. And that's what I've seen on Twitter a number of times today.
Oh yeah.
So, now for those of you who may not be thrilled with the Republican Party, we'll give equal time to the Democratic convention when it comes up. We just thought, like I say, some of this is interesting. Some of this is important. These are the people that are vying to shape your future, the opportunities that you have. So obviously that's something that we're interested in and want to discuss.
And it's up to you to decide who's telling the truth and who's not. I mean, you can always say no politicians tell the truth. Who's telling the most truth? And I do want to watch Mike Johnson's speech.
Well, we'll do that on our,
when? It's a different, the one behind it. Yep.
Trying to find out what happened to my ex. There it is.
It should be. I know if y'all have never been on here before, I watch this stuff all day long. This is what I do to bring all the lovely content that I can and information. You can double click on the top of the screen to the left, other side, down, no, down, in the middle, go to the middle of the screen. No, the middle of the screen, the whole screen. Nope, the whole video screen. Okay. Go all the way to the other side.
What
behind
other
him.
side? This is left, this is right, this is up, this is down.
Go left. And center of the screen, and then double click. Double click again. Nope, other side.
What?
It should back it up.
It doesn't offer me that option.
A great time.
It shouldn't be an option, but it's okay. Whatever. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's not available on this.
To unite our party and
Can
to
you hear
send President Donald Trump back to the White House. That's what we're going to do. But we're not just uniting as Republicans. We're uniting today as Americans in the wake of the assassination attempt on the life of President Trump. Everyone hear me clearly and listen to me at home and make no mistake. The House is conducting an immediate and thorough investigation of these tragic events.
All right, now I'm curious. When's the last time a House investigation conducted when is the last time the House conducted an investigation and something came of it? Somebody was charged, somebody was removed from office, whatever.
Well, here's the problem. The problem is that the executive branch and the Senate are both run by Democrats.
Well, I'm just saying,
House is
whenever,
doing-
past 40 years.
Because they're the only Republicans.
Nothing much of it comes from it.
Well, because of the imbalance in the government.
Sky approves of the guy's looks. So
And Mike Johnson's a cutie. He is one of the.
That work is
No, wait.
already done.
Never mind.
The American people deserve to know the truth, and we will ensure accountability. I promise you that. I promise you that. This has always been an important principle to us. We in the Republican Party are the law and order team. We always have been, and we always will be, the advocates for the rule of law. And we all know that that principle, as well as many others, is in serious jeopardy today.
See, we've come to a moment in America where the basic things that we once took for granted are being openly challenged like never before. My friends, we are no longer just in a battle between two opposing political parties. We are, but it's not just ours versus D's anymore. We're now in the midst of a struggle between two completely different visions of who we are as Americans and what our country will be. The Republican Party stands for the foundational truths that made America the greatest nation in the history of the world. We are the most free, the most powerful, the most benevolent nation that has ever been. It's not even close. It's not even close. But we have no guarantee that this grand experiment in self-governance can endure unless we respond to the call to keep it. 248 years ago, we boldly proclaimed in our declaration that all men are created equal, not born equal, created equal, and that we're endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights. See, we understand that our rights do not come from government. They come from God. We understand there's another thing that we recognize. We recognize that we are made in His image. And because of that, every single person has inestimable dignity and value. And your value is not related in any way to the color of your skin, what zip code you live in, where you come from, what your talents are, or what you can contribute to society. Your value is inherent because it is given to you by your Creator. That's what we stand for. I speak a lot about what I call the 7 core principles of American conservatism. What do we stand for as Republicans, they want to know? I think it boils down to a few things: individual freedom, limited government, the rule of law, peace through strength, fiscal responsibility, free markets, and human dignity. Indeed, those are the 7 core principles of American conservatism, but they're actually the core principles of our republic itself. And while they resonate in our hearts and in the hearts of most Americans, listen to me, the radical woke progressive left has disdain for those principles, all right? They have a very different vision for what America should become. They want to tear down those foundations and remold us into some sort of borderless, lawless, Marxist, socialist utopia. We're here to say, not on our watch. We will not allow that to happen. It was just 3 weeks ago that Kelly and I dropped off our oldest son at the Naval Academy. That's right. In 4 years, he'll graduate and he'll join the 1.3 million active duty service members who bravely defend our country. We're so proud of Jack and all our children, but like most parents today, we're concerned about their future. America can't risk 4 more years of Joe Biden's weakness that has invited so much aggression by our enemies. We can't survive the dramatic increases in violence, crime, and drugs that the Democrats' policies have brought upon our communities. And we cannot allow the many millions of illegal aliens they've allowed to cross our borders to harm our citizens, drain our resources, or disrupt our elections. We will not allow it. My friends, we're watching the principles of faith, family, and freedom that once defined our nation now being trampled underfoot by the radical left. As President Trump raised his fist and gave a rally cry on Saturday, now is our time to fight, and we will. We're in a fateful battle of ideas, my friends, and we have to recognize that. But in this battle, and in November, the American people will reject the party of self-destruction, and they will elect the party of peace and prosperity and opportunity. The GOP will grow our House majority, we will take back the Senate, and we will return Donald J. Trump to the White House. Standing arm in arm, we will make America safe again. Listen, we reach out tonight to everyone watching at home. We invite all Americans who believe in the promise of our great nation to join us in this fateful battle. We can and we will reverse this current decline. We can restore our founding principles, and we can preserve this exceptional nation that God has entrusted to us, and what Abraham Lincoln referred to as the last best hope of man on the earth. Thank you so much. God bless you. God bless our troops. And God.
There you have it. That is Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House. So been kind of an interesting group of folks, particularly with Vivek.
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 I'm going to teach you how to pronounce it at some point.
He doesn't pronounce it right.
Who, Vivek?
Yeah.
He says Vivek like cake.
I know.
Vivek. Oh, what?
He doesn't know English.
See? We have a racist up here talking about how people can't speak right.
That's not racist.
He can't pronounce his own name.
It's called phonetics.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I think we've gone a little bit long.
Mm-hmm.
So we very much appreciate y'all being with us. Enjoyed having you.
Do this again tomorrow with just the RNC. We'll be glad to. Either, like the video, subscribe, ring the bell. It costs you nothing. It helps us a lot to keep bringing information to you that we enjoy. And I hope you guys do too.
So we do thank you all. We enjoyed seeing you. Enjoyed being with you. And hope y'all have a great rest of the night wherever you may be. Know we have folks on the replay crew.
Hey guys,
love
hey
y'all
replay.
too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I agree. We will get to that. It doesn't seem like he was. Love you too, Melissa.
Love you, Melissa.
Night, night, dogs.
Good night, y'all. Y'all have
Sky Ricky, whichever.
Y'all have a great rest of the eve. Our time is up. We thank you for yours.
Good night.